This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a very cold and windy afternoon safari. We are looking at a herd of impalas that just started moving sort of into the thicket area. They were all lying down in the open, having a grooming session with the oxpeckers, or their version of the spa day, just getting the ticks away from them. And now they've all started going into it's potentially warmer. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Morgan, and we are very excited to be taking you on an afternoon bumble. Not too sure where we're going to be heading to, hopefully, or maybe to the area where Tlalamba, the female leopard, was seen this morning, reportedly also looking quite pregnant. But she was left hunting smaller antelope, smaller than the impala that we're looking at, so it might be that she's moved around, but we're gonna head in that general area, scratch around, perhaps we'll get lucky. Remember, you can get a hold of us and send us all your questions and comments using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, tag @FC on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the WildEarth website and send your questions there. And if you are under 18 and you're watching on YouTube, please send your questions using the kidsquestions@wildearth.tv email address. Righty. We're going to leave those impala because they're looking very much alive and cold, and we're going to continue with our search if Wendy switches on. Alrighty. It's not unusual to have such windy days in September. Normally September is almost like a transition month, and although spring is more, well, I find it's more a suggestion than anything else in South Africa. The weather, the temperature does start changing as we start approaching the summer months. So we had, the last couple of days were incredibly hot. We went from about 32 degrees to 17 today. So it's been an interesting exchange. Lots of layers worn also in the afternoon drive, except for Morgan, who comes from Cape Town, and he's always wearing shorts and barefoot because he's used to the wind and the cold. Oh, you're wearing shoes? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to tell lies about you. Oh, he says he's wearing shoes because it's freezing. Okay, cool, but the shorts still apply. On days like today where it's quite windy, we'll find that a lot of the animals are going to be heading into the thickets, or while it's quite windy, just to protect themselves from the cold weather. And then some of our cats will likely be also in the thickets looking for prey. It's good hunting conditions from them just because the wind, they can take advantage of it. It'll take away their smell and also muffle their sound if they're moving through the bush. So they might have a better luck. Perhaps the Tlalamba also even had better luck, but we shall see what's out there. It seems that yesterday Marib's, the young male leopard, was also found close to Torchwood Dam. I think we're gonna kind of work our way there, see if maybe we can get hold of any of them for this afternoon. We had a cat-filled, or well, I should say lion-filled afternoon or day yesterday, which was very nice. But it seems like all of our friends have sort of moved off the area. And for those that follow the movements of the lions and other animals of this area, apparently the Torchwood Pride was found this morning, and they have brand new cubs. I'm not too sure how many, but no, I'm not getting any Kamsake. So I'm just gonna stop talking, but we'll head on to one of the other presenters that wants to say good afternoon.
So you can see we've got an overcast afternoon, but welcome on board. My name's John T. We've got Dazza on the camera. Hello little Amelia, hope you're watching my angel. So So we are looking for any sign of predators. That's what I would like to look for this afternoon. Ali told me she saw tracks of a male leopard that headed to this area where we are this morning. I've come through, I saw his tracks a little bit behind us. It's actually headed on into this block of land to my left. So we're just checking if they come out here. But in this type of weather, you'd expect them to be moving around, especially if they were hungry. You know, it's nice and cool, they could cover more ground. But we shall see. I also want to go and check the Hyena Den. I haven't been there to this new one yet, so I'd like to go and see what's going on there. Maybe we'll get lucky. To be out and driving around. Not a bad place to be. And I have been away for a while, so I might warm up. If any animals, I might have to tell a story, so feel free to send through some questions, and then maybe I've got something sleeve. Oh, there's a lilac-breasted roller that just flew. For us now, unfortunately. I'm sure you've already got that on your list, Darren, but at the moment it looks like a silhouette. It's like Guess the Bird. We're just going to take in this view for a little bit, and then you're going to head over to my good friend Marcus and see what he's up to.
Well, we are sort of driving on to the eastern boundary of our reserve. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all our viewers. I am Marcus Koza, and joining me this afternoon on camera I've got Johan. So like I was saying earlier, we will be driving towards the eastern part of the reserve. So we are still on a bumble. There isn't anything really that we are following up on. And of course, we've got a very windy day at Ngala, which can be a good thing, but a bad thing at the same time. Of course, when it comes to this sort of weather, I think it favors the predators more than it will favor the prey as far as hunting is concerned. Because the predators, of course, they will hunt downwind, which means these other prey animals won't be able to smell these predators approaching. But also because these animals also use sense of hearing to be able to know if they are predators stalking them, if I can put it like that. And being a windy day like it is, all the trees or the vegetation will make sounds. Also, there is noise coming out of the vegetation, so the prey species won't necessarily know whether the sound they're hearing is from a predator approaching or just the wind, which in turn makes them a bit on edge, especially at this sort of day or weather that is very windy like this. But yeah, like I have mentioned, predators can get closer without being detected, with these animals not able to spot them. And also because most of these predators, during the day, that's when they rest, having been active the whole night. So on a day like today, because it's not as hot, because this wind makes it a little bit cooler, predators can be active earlier than normal, because they won't be losing as much energy And of course, it comes boiling down to necessity. If they do have to move, whether be it a disturbance of bigger animals, elephants, for instance, having disturbed them from wherever they were resting, or if it's just a hunger, because of course they do have to feed. So I'm just hoping that we will be able to catch up with all these animals on our drive. And one other thing that I have seen with this kind of weather is that the animals, even the ones that usually you will find them on open areas, they would retreat to thickets where they will be at least shielded by the trees from this wind. And also, that being said, it leaves them vulnerable in a way, because now if it is windy like this, they will have to rely more on their eyesight. And if now they retreat to thickets, then it means also it's their eyesight is hindered in a way that the predators will be able to get close to them without being seen or detected. So yeah, like I mentioned, we are heading towards the eastern part. So there are some open areas also when we get to that area, where we'll be on the lookout for some general game, and preferably even these animals that are the general game, even better if we find those doing what they do best, which will be to hunt. Yeah, so just come with us to that way. Eventually we'll end up where there were wild dogs this morning. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with them. Yeah, so we are just now driving across the Timbabati Dry Riverbed, which is also another good area to look for some of these animals, like elephants, because we have seen elephants in the past, digging for some water in this dry riverbed, which is quite smart of these animals, because like I mentioned, it is a dry riverbed, yet they know that if they dig, sometimes they will find this water. And then sometimes you'll be like driving at a distance, you'll see this animal that looks like it's drinking water, yet you see that the river is dry until you get closer, and then you find that they have just dug for some water and they were able to find some, which is actually quite nice for them, especially in a dry season like this. As you see, the vegetation will always drive past, so it's just these magic guarri trees that all has got greenery at this time of the year, but the other trees, most of them are dry, and the grasses as well. And hence, sometimes it is good when it's dry like this to be able to see these animals, especially the ones that do not really blend in, but animals like leopards, sometimes we do struggle finding those in dry season like this, because they blend quite well with these dry grasses. And sometimes you just approach an area, leopards will just lie flat and you won't be able to see a thing until maybe they sort of turn that tail or the white tip of the tail sideways. That when you might be able to pick that up. But yeah, it's quite nice to be back. It has been a good while actually since I last joined our viewers in these very nice, exciting safaris. So let's see what it is we'll be able to find next. Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala, everyone. So it is so nice to be back on WildEarth. It has been a good while, and I'm quite happy that I saw my good friend and visitor John D is back at Djuma as well, which gives me great joy, because he is one of those who encouraged me to do what I'm doing now. So it is nice also to share the platform with him. So now we are quite close to that water hole, which we call Ngala Dam for the ones who are familiar to that water hole. So it is early afternoon, but you never know, the animals might have gone to drink some water, even though it's not that hot. But of course, animals don't just drink water to get cool. There is the first part of it, as we do, because we also do drink water when it's like that. Sometimes we drink water because it's very hot, you need cold water, but it's more for survival than anything else, really. So we are gonna try check Ngala Dam to see if there are any animals that we'll be able to share with our viewers that side. So we are not that far away from that water hole, maybe in the next 5 minutes or so. If I got that correctly, Nazra, I want to know if Ngala cut down the trees from the road. No, not really. We don't really cut trees from the road, but we do clear the roads, so that at least when we are driving, there are no branches that goes into the road that might poke our eyes and all that. So it's more really for the safety part of it, because sometimes we'll be driving guests, and much as we try and warn them of overhanging branches, so the ones that are quite close to the road, we try and clear those beforehand. But other than that, we don't really cut our trees. Elephants, on the other hand, do push down some of these trees, whether be it to show power or to try to get to the leaves that are quite high up, or even if just roots they are after. Elephants will push down trees like that. Though at the moment there are no elephants that we can see close to where we are, because I do have a view of the water hole, and I must say it doesn't look that busy at all. Except of course for the hippos that are enjoying their swim or bath. But other than that, no other animals here. As you can see, just those hippos that we can see for now. Looks like a pod of just 3. Which I must say, it's interesting in a way. Oh, looks like they're all submerging. As you can see, we're slowly losing them. Just see a little bit of their eyes, but other than that, all gone. So they will submerge every now and then into the water just to keep cool. Sorry, I missed that question. Oh, okay. So you want to know if predators do wait for prey to come close to the water hole? Like sometimes they will, especially predators that are very cooperative when hunting, like lions, because they will set traps in water holes like this, get into positions as soon as they see animals approaching. But of course, as you can see, some water holes like this one, on the edges, it's very much exposed. So it's not that easy. But yeah, predators will do set traps in water holes. Because these predators are smart like that, they know that these other animals are bound to come drink sometime. No matter how long it might take, they will come for a drink occasionally, and then that's when they might, set up traps. And you can see there are some trees that still has got a good foliage close to these water holes. So also animals like a leopard that can go up and be well camouflaged up a tree like that, it can always take out impalas in such areas and wait for impalas that will come and try their luck, Because of course these predators can't really afford to give up for whatever reason, whether be what I've just mentioned, that there is no cover close to this water hole. They will always make a plan. Because like I mentioned, most of these things that they do out here, it's just about survival than anything else, really. Looks quite peaceful, but yeah, I think let's just drive on, because there isn't a lot happening here. And hopefully where we are still headed to will have a bit of luck, because there are still those open areas I mentioned earlier that we'll be heading to. Some of these open areas we sometimes will be lucky with some general game, which include, amongst others, wildebeests. We see some wildebeests at sight, and sometimes we see some hyenas, which are always appreciated. So as you can see, we haven't seen Charles, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. So, wild dogs, especially if you do know their behavior like that, and if they had puppies earlier, they will always be on the move because they live that nomadic life, But of course, the puppies being small can't really keep up with the adult dogs, especially when they are hunting, because the adult dogs, of course, will have to execute all those hunts. But, these youngsters will always be following these puppies. No matter how long it might take to get to where the kill is, they will always be following. So yeah, I think they do keep up with the rest of the pack. They're always on the move like that. So it's just that the adult ones have got to be considerate of these youngsters, because of course with pace they can't really match each other like that. The pups still needs the training, still needs these exercises to be able to move that fast. But so in a day like today, where it is this cold, we might find that even at this time they are hunting. They don't really need to be on a shade or anything like that, but also be on the lookout for potential threat, especially in the form of these other more powerful predators. Because of course, if maybe lions can approach and they don't see them in time, they will try and kill all those puppies. and not necessarily to feed on them, but to eliminate competition for future competition. So yeah, I think for now, let's just come with me, approach those open areas, see if maybe we'll be lucky that side.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
It's day one of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
Either Franklin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Good afternoon and welcome to WildEarth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands and we're starting our walk from Leopard Dam. Our plan for this afternoon is to do short little clover loops around the dam and then from there on take another drive to one of the other dams to see what we can go and find there before sunset. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Craig. And right over there we've got some Egyptian geese at the moment. So we started with a little bit of birding, and the birds that we quickly spotted at the dam was the Egyptian geese, the typical free-banded plovers that always hang around here, and a few fork-tailed drongos. Unfortunately, they've already disappeared. But let's see what those geese are up to. At the moment, you can see 2 of the geese on the opposite side of the dam, one with a normal coloration onto the wing panel, and the other with an all-white wing panel, the one that's furthest away from us. A reason why I'm showing that white wing panel was that there was a pair of Egyptian geese that came over, and it seems that these guys have now established themselves a little territory over here, and that's a territorial aggressive signal telling that other pair that they should stay away from this area. Quite often, if you do see another pair that flies over, they're very quick to fly up and they're very quick to chase that pair out of the area. I'm not sure if it was the original pair that has the chicks over here or if it's a new group of birds that's come in. Some 3 or 4 days ago, unfortunately, the whole group of little 8 Egyptian geese, as well as the adults, has disappeared. Strangely enough, we walked the area this morning and we saw some tracks in the road of Egyptian geese which was walking, so most likely they walked off because I knew they weren't ready to fly yet and went to go and look for another dam elsewhere which provides maybe a better feeding option or quality food for them. To come back with Egyptian geese, if they do breed, they often breed in these a red-billed buffalo weaver nest, which we have on the side of a dam. In some cases, they will actually just nest on the ground. What we find is that they will start laying eggs, and once the last egg has been laid, only then the incubation period will start. And that's roughly some 28 days to a month that they will sit on those eggs to incubate them. What's also interesting is that the female is the one that sits on that nest for the whole time. And she only comes down for approximately 20 to 30 minutes a day to come and feed, and then she goes back to the nest to go and incubate the eggs again. When it comes to the male, he's responsible for taking care of the area as well as chase off any other intruders at that point. We also see that the Egyptian geese, once the chicks have hatched, are incredibly good parents. They will very quickly chase off predators. And I've seen over the years baboons as well as mongooses and a number of other species catching them, even birds of prey. And a few weeks ago, we actually watched how they very quickly and aggressively reacted to a slender mongoose, which was actually after the chicks. So for those of you that are wondering good afternoon, Nolene. With regards to your question, if they have the loudest birds in South Africa, there's other bird species which is actually much louder. If we think of it, birds such as southern ground hornbill, we can actually hear their call over several kilometers. However noisy, yes, they can be incredibly noisy, especially if you've got them in your garden or sitting in your swimming pool with a decision of actually breeding over there. For me, the noisiest of all birds in South Africa is probably the Hadida ibis. So for those of you who are interested in why they're called Egyptian geese, is because they were originally identified in Egypt where they were quite common. However, they no longer occur in that area. We're going to sit and watch our Egyptian geese for a little bit longer, see what they get up to, and then from there on move off and go and start our walk.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Wow, look at what we managed to find in those open areas we mentioned earlier. The giraffe that you see on your screen there looks like she is walking away from us, so we'll quickly try to keep up. So that is a female giraffe, and I just looked at the surroundings here, she looks like she is just by herself, which is quite unusual, especially for females to be by themselves like this. You find that they will be with other females or even with their youngsters. So it's more the males that you might, or you are likely to see that are by themselves. And remember also I did mention earlier that some of these trees have got flowers at the moment, which is probably what that giraffe is after. Some of these acacia trees, or the Senegalias as they are now affectionately known, they are flowering, and also some of these combretum species. And as you'll see, that open area that the giraffe is walking on at the moment you know, it is also able to be out and about, you know, with that height distance. Of course, this one can see a good distance away from where it is, and I see some impalas also at a distance of where that giraffe is heading, you know, which looks like also they just went to the edge of an open area just so they can be protected from this wind. So if you look at them, there they are. Just see how closely packed together. Because I did mention earlier that they are sort of vulnerable in this weather. And now they just want to be shielded from this wind that might or will definitely mess with their sense of hearing. But that being said, also, you know, they would want to feed, much as the grasses are dry like this, much as the weather isn't as favorable to them, but they do want to feed to survive, whether the grass is not as nutritious because it's dry, and then they'll just have to drink a lot of water, and of course that will sustain them. So what I love about these open areas is where you find a whole lot of different animals together. Like as you can see, the giraffe is there one side, the impalas to the other side, and I see like a lone wildebeest bull in front of us there. You know, and now the bull looks like it's actually approaching that direction where these impalas are. I check it will be more for safety in numbers, especially at a tricky weather like today's one. And also some wildebeest, you know, you can see a lone bull like that, but you can also see some heads or some implausibility, as the collective noun is. But of course, wildebeest males are territorial, which I know is the case with that fellow we've got on our screen there. As you can see, like he walks and then stops sometimes just to listen. Yeah, Lillian, I'm glad you were able to join us for this afternoon. It is very much comfortable for us, except this wind sort of mess with everything else really. But yeah, for us it's not that hot, you know, and it's not very cold. I need to mention this. It's just this wind that makes things a little bit hard. For instance, finding these animals. So since the beginning of the show, I think it will be fair to say this is the first animals we see, which is not always the case on any normal day or on any normal weather, you know. But of course, I'm glad we did catch up with these guys. So from here, I think we'll just drive this boundary road towards where the wild dogs were last seen this morning. In the meantime, I'm sending you over to Ndabezi Tajonti at Djuma. Let's see what it's got for us.
Hope you have good luck with the wild dogs. We managed to bump into some elephant bulls. There's 4, I know there's just one on the screen now, one close to us, but there's 4 beautiful elephant bulls where we are. And what a spot of luck, literally right either side of the road. That one up ahead looks like a real good looking elephant. But sorry, we went absent for a while. Darren and I made a very bad choice to go to the Hyena Den, which was in the land of no signal and very cold. And there's the other two there at the base of that marula tree. It's amazing how they, the one, if you didn't see his tusks, you'd miss him. That big grey blob. It's quite unique, this one. You can see he's got missing one tusk and that very prominent sort of notch in his left ear. Can you zoom in on the tip of his tusk there? You can see how it's actually been damaged. I didn't copy that. Sorry, FC, I didn't copy that question. They're the only animals that dig for water. Well, they're certainly the ones that dig holes big enough for other animals to access. You will often find other animals sort of, I suppose, re-digging and already the hole, especially in dry riverbeds and things like that. But I think they could well be. And from what I've seen, I've never seen another animal walking along smelling and then just stop and dig a sort of meter or meter and a half hole for water. So I think they're really good sense of smell and the ability, which is amazing, to dig with those feet, which just look like massive round slabs. They are able to dig with those. But it is amazing to see how proficient they are at it, and then also how much other animals use it, especially now where a lot of the smaller watering holes are drying up and the water gets quite much full of droppings from all the animals. And you'll find, the other day I saw like a group of 30 zebra all congregated along a section of dry riverbed where elephants drinking out of the holes. It's just one of the things that makes elephants so cool.
Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala, everyone. So we have been talking about weather and what it sometimes mess up with, which sometimes will be our equipment, So sorry if something do not go the way you usually used to. But here we've got some impalas in front of us, as you can see. And the ones that I can see are rams. As the viewers might see that they do have got so as you can see, they're just busy feeding them and out on the thickets, not really out in the open. So we have got those impalas that you see on your screen there, and if you look closely at the vegetation where they are now, there are some thickets or some trees or shrubs surrounding them, as you can see. So these impalas are smart like that. Of course, it is a very windy day today. And if it is a normal weather day, you know, these are some of these animals that we'll find out in the open areas where they'll just be feeding. But now, because these open areas are not as comfortable for them, you know, with all this wind, and then they will retreat to thickets, as the case is with these impalas that we've got here. So you can see a bit of grooming every now and then from that ram. So these impalas here are the antelopes that are most abundant in our area here. Like, they outnumber all these other animal species by far in our areas. And as you can see, the female, they're passing. And of course I can see like it's a lot of animals here, not like these huge heads, but I think I did count over 10 impalas, which of course, you know, safety in numbers comes to play. And as you can see, when one moves to the other side, the rest of the herd follows, because, you know, they don't really want to be vulnerable. They don't really want to be left alone and caught unaware by predators. So the more they are moving as a unit like that, then they stand a better chance of survival than if, you know, it was just one or individual animals. There's some oxpeckers also that attend to them for the ticks that they might have.
Sorry guys, seems like we've been fighting the radio gremlins the last bit, so we actually haven't been able to make our way to Torchwood because we had to get back to camp. Hopefully it's all sorted now, and then we'll be able to not have any more issues. So we are on our way there now, fighting the wind to get there. Never do I think I've had to fight so much wind to get to a place, but hopefully good things at the end of the rainbow. Ooh. It's been a day for windy today. Whew. Had to go into the mechanic in the morning. Now radio operation in the afternoon. Hopefully brand spanking new. And then, ooh, all things sorted. Now I've tried to head there through a different route to see if maybe there are tracks for anything else. And then we shall see what's going on in all the places on Djuma. Let's see.
Halfway between Umbrella 3 and Mercury.
Seems like our radio is working indeed. So while we try to find our way and restart our afternoon, we're going to send you guys across to John D, who seems to have found some animals of his own. Okay, can you put it up a little bit, but like a little bit?
Look at this absolute specimen. Because this is mad. So if Darren zooms out, we're going to see we've got 3. Look at that. That is so cool. It's not often, especially in the Sabi sands, to see an elephant with tusks like that. That is a magnificent animal. My goodness. was interesting, as he approached, the other two younger bulls made way for him. Obviously just commanding their respect. Head shake there. It's interesting because this elephant that's in front of him is actually bigger, but his tusks are much more impressive. Look how big that elephant is. Oh, I don't know, Darren, can you get on? Oh, he did it too fast. He just broke that branch using his trunk and he was pushing it against the ground. Yeah, Astrid, you are correct. I mean, this is amazing. To just be sitting here with these four and they're just carrying on as if we weren't here. It really is amazing. And Darren and I feel so stoked that we're able to let you watch this at home while we're getting to sit here with them. It's crazy when you think of some of these records from the old tuskers, their tusks being over 2 meters long. It's ridiculous. You see how he broke that one? That's how the big tusker, he broke the branch just now. Lawrence, yes, these are all males. This is like a group of bulls. And often you'll get with elephants, you'll get older male or an older bull that'll get joined by some younger ones. They call them askaris. Some of the theories are that he then teaches them sort of elephant bull etiquette. Tell you what, they must be loving this cool weather. It's amazing, that skin. It's incredible. We were part of a live elephant collaring as part of Wild Wonderful World. They did a live elephant collaring and people could tune in and ask questions while they were doing it. But one of the most amazing things, you can see where Darren's zooming in on the skin, is to feel the skin of these elephants. It's absolutely incredible. we definitely are just going to sit here and enjoy spending time with these big boas.
My name is Nomfundo Ndlovu and I'm the Senior Project Manager for the WISA Schools and Youth Unit. I'm a qualified horticulturalist. I'm particularly passionate about supporting schools towards working through their sustainability journey and towards food sovereignty throughout food gardening projects. A typical day in my work involves me overseeing our national projects and creating an enabling environment for schools to thrive and succeed in working towards self-reliance and sustainability, and really ensuring that no school gets left behind.
I think sometimes you need just to listen. So it's a kind of taking out all that other spirit and bring back wilderness and healthy. Bushwalk and trek and sign. I'm sure I'm good at that. I spend most of my time on the ground since I was a young boy, so I think I'm good with that. Actually, I'm not much nervous of any category. Just take it as it is. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on what the judges are looking at. So chances are 50-50 on my side. I'm not... Obviously, when you go for a competition, you say you win.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
Welcome. We're still with these beautiful elephants here at Djuma. I'm hoping that this one in the middle, which is the one now to the left, I'm hoping he turns to face us. But I keep talking about it, but he's got such beautiful tusks. One of the young males, he pulled off quite a big branch from this marula tree, and now all of them are busy. That's what they're eating, stripping the bark off of it. Yo, I'd actually have to go and double check what that is now. That's a good question. Oh, look at this. I'll double check for you. What I seem to remember, it was always like, I've got 50 pounds or 100 pounds. Which would be the weight. Yeah, I'm trying to rack my memory now. That is a very good question. It's tough because, you know, the tusk growth is sort of exponential in the later years of the elephant. So from 40 to 50 or 45 to 55, the tusks will grow quite a lot. So I'm just going to talk on the radio quickly. Go ahead, Ali. Sorry, Ali, say that again.
Lovely explanation about the elephant. Just thought you might be sitting on the radio.
Copied. Ellie was just telling me I was leaning on the game drive radio. So everyone was hearing about the elephants. So I've just double checked here in some of my notes. So 100 pounds would be per tusk. So that is huge. I don't think this elephant is he might be close, but I don't think he's quite 100 pounds on either side. It is, if you ever go to Kruger National Park, if you go to the Letaba Museum there, they've got some of the Magnificent Seven, and it's amazing. I mean, I am just over 2 meters tall. I can stand on this elephant in front of us. That is awful. So the elephant standing right in front of us is just relieving itself. I'm so glad we're not downwind. Jeez, fuck. That's outrageous. We're gonna stay here. You're gonna head over to Marcus and see what his tracks have led him to.
Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala, everyone. Look what we've got in front of you there. So we were able to catch up with these dogs, and they are pretty much in the exact same spot they were this morning, which means they haven't really moved a lot. And yeah, it is quite a tricky area to be able to count them. So it's just a few pack members that we see here. You know, the puppies and the other members might still be close, but as you can see, they are lying flat like that. So in those thickets, and we suspect in that one thicket there might be more dogs on the other side of the thicket, but that is what we have to work with for now. Hopefully they will be active a little bit sooner, because not too far away from this area here there is a herd of impalas, which is actually too close to these dogs, in my opinion, that is. And of course these dogs are downwind of those impalas, so the dogs pretty much are able to smell these impalas, but I can't say the same about the impalas to the dogs. But yeah, it's one thing what I'm thinking, it's another thing what these dogs are actually thinking. As you can see that one there, I don't think hunting is actually its priority at the moment. It's more resting than anything else, really. So these are quite beautiful animals. See all that coloration. Well, Finn, aged 11, I am glad that you got to join us this afternoon And that's actually a very good question, which I love a lot. Yeah, these dogs are actually quite nice, quite beautiful. But my favorite personally happens to be a leopard, amongst others, you know. If I really had to pick one animal, that would be a leopard. And yeah, for a reason that leopards are beautiful, pretty much like these dogs. You know, I'm not taking anything away from the dogs. But also, you know, for solitary animals that just live by themselves like that, sometimes, you know, they will have to provide for the youngsters. That's females, of course. You know, they do a very good job with no help at all, or with no physical help, if I can put it like that, because a structure like these of wild dogs that are also cooperative hunters like this, a leopard can't really afford such luxury, you know. There are no family members that will help a leopard hunt, yet they can get successful on many occasions when they do try and hide, because, you know, they are smart like that. They do get to these animals that they are hunting without getting detected. You know, they get to trees, escaping hyenas, yet raising up youngsters. So, well, I do respect them also for that same reason. I'm glad, Finn, you asked me that question. But yeah, as you can see, the dogs here, like I mentioned earlier, they're not really moving a lot. But of course, they've got weather to their advantage. So, you know, at any given time, anything can happen, even when we are just spending time with them here. You know, and sometimes we'll just find them curling their ears towards the direction of the wind. But if you can see, that one looks like it's not really bothered at all. You know, there is a good chance it might have done those earlier, because we do know that they've been here from at least this morning up until now. However, we are sort of struggling to count them. I'm not sure whether the same number is here this afternoon, or some of them might have gone hunting somewhere, you know. But of course, I don't think they will go hunt, leaving the rest of the pack here. The chances are they might just be taking it easy. And also, if you look at that belly on your screen there, it doesn't look like it needs a meal. It looks full, come to think of it. You know. And you see how the white on that dog actually stands out. Much as the rest of the body will blend in that surrounding, like the soil, the dry grasses, and all the dead branches there. But that white, you know, it's something that stands out. And of course, when you are following them on foot, that will be something to look for. And I'm just glad that we got to catch up with these dogs, because where they are, literally about maybe 15 or so meters, they can cross the road into Kruger, you know, at any time if they want to. And also quite happy that they are cooperative like that. They don't think, or at least they are not thinking of crossing over anytime soon. So for now, I think I am gonna stick around with these dogs, see what they might get to in the next while.
So we are just sitting with a beautiful elephant bull. I'm not gonna speak. Just enjoy the visuals that Darren brings you of this beautiful big elephant. Oh, actually got some of his slobber on my head. This is so cool. It looks epic with the tree as a backdrop. So we've got those two that are beautifully out in the open. And this third one might come out. He's playing a little bit of a hide and seek behind a spike thorn bush. We're gonna keep hanging out with these boys. We're gonna head over to Ali, who has something very beautiful to look at. What? Sorry about that, Ali losing her signal, but it is pretty tough conditions out here this afternoon. It's quite windy. But that's fine, you can come hang out with us and these two big bruisers. It is great to know. Trishala was talking about seeing the largest beast on WildEarth, but for me, like, currently in my life, these are the two biggest living things on the planet at the moment, and they are allowing us to sit here and hang out with them and watch them eating, and it's so calm. It's very, very cool. Oh, he's just making a deposit there. What I'd love to do, if we can, is try get in front of that elephant and get him walking towards us. But I'm not sure the area they're going, it's quite, it's a little bit thicker. Let me just try reposition quickly. It's so horrible when you have to start the car after being quiet for so long. Sorry, elephant. Sorry, elephant. It's an amazing sound. So I'll actually try go, because we started far from them and they ended up while we're driving. No, we started quite far ahead of these elephants and they actually fed towards us and then around us. And that's always what you want, because then it turns. But if he comes towards us, now be like his head sway. Well, that's what I would like.
Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala. So I'm just trying to reposition. So as you can see in front of you there, it was rather very quiet and no movements at all. And all of a sudden, one dog here, one of the older dogs decided to make the sort of sound that you are hearing at the moment. And in no time, all of them were up like that, being playful, doing those rituals of sniffing each other like that, which was quite amazing to watch, I must say. And as you can see now, it looks like they might even go back to what they've been doing, which was just to rest. And like I mentioned earlier, that there are some impalas actually not too far away from here, which I think these dogs might be able to smell them because the wind is coming directly from that direction. yet they don't look bothered at all. They don't look like they want to hunt them, which I think the reason might be these dogs are full like that. Whatever it is that they might have got this morning. Or otherwise, as you know, discipline is the order of the day, you know. The rest of the pack might just be waiting for the alpha pair, or at least one of the alpha pair, to initiate this hunt, and that's when they'll all be jumping on that opportunity. You can still hear that shaky sound, but it's fading all of a sudden. I was just quite happy when I saw them, you know, going up like that, going up in circles, greeting ceremonies, all that sounds that sort of, I will say, signaled excitement, which I thought that they might be going for those impalas after that, but that's not the case. As you can see, they've gone down again. I know you don't really have those impalas on the screen now, but they are facing directly to this direction, which means the impalas might have heard these dogs when they were making all those sounds. But these impalas haven't run away as yet. There you go. And you see they're looking directly in our direction. I think they're about maybe 70 to 80 meters away from where we are. And like now they have stopped feeding, so the dogs have gone down again. Hopefully these impalas forget that they ever heard the sound and then go back to their feeding. And these dogs maybe make a plan to visit those impalas. That would be quite something else to watch. But of course, that is just what I wish and hope for. But the dogs, on the other hand, might have a plan of their own, which for now doesn't really include hunting. And you see that one is looking directly to where those impalas are, which I believe that he might have caught the scent of these impalas. That's a very interesting question, Lichens. It always differs, because here at Ngala, I can't really remember which year that was, but there was an alpha female that had 17 puppies altogether. And of those puppies, I am not sure exactly how many made it to adulthood. But yeah, that always depends, because on this one, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 11 or 10 puppies. So that will always depends like that. There's not like a standard number of dogs that one female can have at a time. But it's quite nice when you see a pack getting bigger and bigger like this. So we did struggle finding wild dogs for quite some time, for the reason that these packs, none of them were denning in our area. I'm just glad that this one, after leaving the den, they made their way into our area, paid us a good visit, which is always appreciated. And when you do think about these dogs, how they hunt, their way of living, in short, these should be the most, successful animals around, because they get a lot of puppies at a time. But because of some diseases, maybe rabies or even canine distemper, that would wipe the populations of these dogs, they are endangered like that. And in some areas, because they are too close to humans, also that puts their life in danger. And other times just lack of experiences, time, especially for the first time parents, if I can put it like that, because they are sometimes oblivious to dangers that are surrounding them. And sometimes you'll find that the female dog will lose puppies to lions, and lions would wipe all of them. And to a lesser extent hyenas as well, but it's more lions that will go for them. I'm just glad that these ones are still in one piece here. I just hope that all of them, will make it to adulthood. And of course, because some of them, might want to get a chance and reproducing in some time, that's when they would leave this pack. And how that will happen is like some brothers will leave a pack together. Other occasions, sisters will leave a pack together, go start their own. And also with them, there is a hyena that's actually approaching this area here. I decided not, because I saw one dog that looked pretty determined in one direction, and then I looked around that direction. I saw a hyena that was coming, but he quickly turned and went back. Maybe he just saw the numbers of these dogs, and also that they are not really on a carcass. Thereon there. And a stretch, of course. And look at how huge those ears are in relation to the head or body size. And of course, these dogs will be able to hear or catch, sounds at a good distance. With those ears that they will calculate the direction of where the sound is at least coming from. I'm just surprised that some of these dogs, from what I saw earlier, it looks like they did get the sense of those impalas, because they did drop towards that direction where the wind is coming from, or where the impalas are. And yet they didn't really, follow it through with their hand or anything like that. They just looked that other direction and then just continue about doing whatever it is that they're doing, whether it be eating move or that area on there. So I'm still sticking around with these dogs. Hopefully they'll start hunting soon.
Hi, we are Yaku and Milani. We are from Gauteng in South Africa. We started watching WildEarth last year during the level 5 lockdown, and we've been watching ever since.
Being in nature is one of the greatest feelings. We absolutely love it. Our favorite thing about WildEarth is that the concept is so amazing. We have the benefit of having a wildlife safari in the comfort of your home, especially when you're not allowed to go out. Being part of the Wildlife Explorer program gives us a sense of giving back and contributing to nature. It just makes us feel good because we love it so much. We are so excited to be visiting Ngala. It is obviously, I think, for most people, an absolute dream to visit the Masai Mara. We can't wait to go.
Thank you very much for this amazing prize, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
And I turned to Shaw and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. And we just found these little bracket fungi on the dead tree over here. So we get a number of different forms of fungi and there's different shapes how we find them. And one of the things I find quite fascinating is that they've got a number of different strategies that they will utilize different food types. Some species are actually parasitic and off a live host, while other species over here are saprophytic, where they live off a dead host. For example, this dead tree. And they also form a very important role in the recycling of nutrients and minerals and breaking those down back into the ecosystem so that it can be absorbed again by plants. We also find that there's a number of other interesting ways that fungi can also work. They can also have relationships with algae. In that case, a typical example which we often find out here at Pridelands is known as lichens. Lichens are often found on trees as well as on rocks. And in this case, we find that the lichen has two different functions, where the algae will be responsible for the photosynthesis process, where it can produce food for the fungus, and the fungus will be responsible for anchoring the plant as well as extracting the nutrients and minerals from the dead plant material or from the rock itself. So a wide range of different colors of lichens that we find in this area. And we also find that they're very important in terms of quality of air, as they're generally only encountered in very clean air environments. I also find it quite fascinating that funguses can virtually be found in almost every habitat on this planet, right from our two ice caps in the Antarctic and the Arctic throughout into the tropics. We're going to go and see what else we can go and find. As we move off, let's go and see what Marcus and the dogs are up to.
Welcome back to andBeyond, Ngala, everybody. And yeah, good luck to the visit. Hopefully find something fun for everyone to watch. And we are here still with Peck. And what you have on the screen there are those puppies. They're quite close like that. Looks like they're just resting, probably waiting for the adult ones to provide. Maybe they catch something and then these guys can go and feed, which they'll be getting used to eating meat like that, which will be nice for them, nice for their survival. Look at that one, looks like it's showing something, Yeah, that's a very good question, Nancy, actually. Wild dogs cannot really bark like these domestic dogs would, but they make those sort of sounds, squeaking sounds. But that being mentioned, even those sounds can be different sometimes depending on what is happening at that moment, because sometimes they'll do that for begging, sometimes they'll do that just to try and, contact call between family members. But they don't really bark like that. As you can see, those ones are just resting. No sounds whatsoever. None of those sounds that we heard earlier. And this road that they are at the moment is that same one that I mentioned, that they will actually be going to Kruger. Looks like the youngster is trying to hunt the red-crested coral on the other side. There on that you can see that it's still running. Now there was a red-crested coral in front of it, which is trying to hunt. So you can see, like, even at this edge there, looks like now they're just gone back to playing, which is actually quite nice. Also, that will help bond their, brotherhood there. So predator instinct, as we saw earlier, it is there. Like, they don't even wait for the rest of this. All the dogs to do the hunting for them, they also try. Which is bold actually from these youngsters. So as I was saying earlier, this road is the one that you cross into the other block, which is Kruger. So should they I didn't get that question.
Any station, intersection, central.
Oh, yeah, well, of course, there would be a reason for that. And more so with those puppies, Now, if they are moving through thicker vegetations and these puppies are not able to see maybe their whole body, so they've got that beacon that they can be looking at or staring at, to be able to keep up with the adults, which will be that white tip of the tail. And sometimes they'll follow the dark tip of the ears as well, as you can see there. But yeah, that white tip of the tail will serve pretty much that same purpose when they're following each other like that, especially in tricky vegetation when they are moving. Of course, the rest of the body will sometimes blend in well with this camouflage with the surroundings, so even the dry areas. But that white, like I mentioned earlier, does stick out like that. They are cooperative when it comes to hunting. I know these ones don't really show any signs of hunting at the moment, which I hope they change. But yeah, like maybe lions, dogs can be cooperative when they are hunting like that. So even these ones will help each other on their hand. And should they bring something down, they'll just try to devour it in less amount of time as possible. Because sometimes they do lose their kills to hyenas. And like I mentioned earlier, there is a hyena close by here that's just hoping these dogs does some killing, that he can try come and scavenge. And look at that, it looks like they're having a go at a twig there. Which sometimes you will see them doing something like that, especially for these puppies, because when they do get some itchy gums, sometimes that's how they get rid of the itchiness, try and bite these twigs. Yeah, I think I am still gonna stick around with these dogs, hoping they do something exciting.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Welcome back, everybody. We had to leave those elephants, and we are just coming to check a different area now. But I can't believe this weather. It's actually quite horrific. Ew, what was that? Just saw something on a branch. It may well just be a broken piece, but it looked a little bit red. It is just a branch. Eh? No, it's fine. I'll save myself. Darren saying one of the last drives I did with Owen Dell, he spotted a rock that he thought was a hippo, so we got to name it. I won't give myself that same punishment. I thought that was maybe an impala carcass in a tree. God, this weather, it's outrageous. It's windy and cold. Do you think we should take Ingwe Alley? I think so. Let's see if the road lives up to its name. Yeah, it's tough if the wind stays up like this this evening. That's really good hunting conditions for leopards. You often find that when it's windy like that at night, you find leopards either with full bellies or leopards eating the days after. But I really do want to find a leopard because I haven't seen one since I've been back. That or a hot chocolate. We need like a hot chocolate vendor to give us a little hot chocolate and a cronut. Have you had a cronut? Me neither. Apparently it's a cross between a croissant and a donut. The name does sound a bit dodgy though. Cronut. So it's quite amazing driving along Ingwe Alley here. There's lots of sort of these dry mud wallows that in a few months are going to be full of water. Unbelievable. There's lots of sign of buffalo on this road that we are driving on, but nothing too fresh. Just tough. It's quite an overcast, windy afternoon, so we're just kind of checking different spots. A lot of the larger animals will seek cover when the weather's like this, so they might be in slightly thicker areas. Even the cats, you might find them lying up against a bush or on the sort of back slope of a termite mound or something like that. Just they just ran off. There's some mongoose. They look like banded mongoose. Just shot off into the bushes here. I'm sorry, we couldn't get a look at those mongoose. They rushed off into the thick bush.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We just a beautiful little blue waxpool nest, which is tucked safely in between fawns of a flaky fawn tree. So a very easy tree to actually identify as it's got a flaky appearance and incredibly large fawns. The reason why these little blue waxpools made this nest is to protect themselves against mammal predators and other predators that might try and get the nest and come and raid the nest for eggs or either the chicks. We also find sometimes that their nests in close association with people, and they can produce pretty painful sting. You do get stung by them quite in large numbers, and they will repeat it stung if you then go into that nest by these red. We're going to go and see where our little birds have gone to and what they are.
Well, good luck to JP on his quest. And as you can see, we are still with those playful puppies that you see on the other side there. And of course, I think they can afford to be that playful. Not too long ago, like a hyena just, walked past us here, as if he's going exactly towards that direction, but then he changed again and then took another way. And that would have been interesting to see, especially with the older pack members, how they react to a hyena, especially when there are puppies involved. But you see, that one looks a bit inquisitive, probably the same one that was hunting that red-crested koran. But the others, some time and again, sort of call him back to a play like that. But of course, those sort of playing, those sort of stretching, helps with all the build-up of the muscles. And also exercising their limbs, for whatever it is that they're gonna need, whether it be either hunting or just trying to get away in time from danger. They learn all those things at that sort of age, and especially with playing like that, as most predators youngsters do. So like I was saying earlier with these ones, so these dogs, when they hunt and then they get something, they try and finish it in a less amount of time before hyenas can come and threaten their lives, and then they'll swallow chunks sometimes. And then when they come into these puppies, or wherever the puppies might be, whether be it at a distance, but still following, and then they'll just regurgitate, the sounds that we had earlier, which is more begging sounds than anything really that they do. It's exactly that. So unlike lions, these ones do not really turn violent, even when feeding. Because lions, much as I did say, they cooperate bringing down an animal. But from there, it's just every individual for itself. And yet there is also a hierarchy that, they have to stick to. And if even these puppies, when it's lion, the cubs do not wait for their turn. Sometimes they get injured by these older lions, which I must say is one beautiful thing about these dogs, because they are not really violent towards each other like that. They are more a loving family, if I can put it that. And as you can see there, the older ones are just taking it easy, relaxing, and trying to recuperate on the energy they might have used earlier when hunting. But since those puppies don't really have to do much hunting, they can afford to be playful like that.
Take a shot of us for the government program.
That's a very good question, Sharon. Not at the moment. However, where we were earlier, we were able to smell them. And I must say they did smell fresh that time, but I'm glad now I am not downwind of these dogs. It works for me. So no, Sharon, now we can't really smell them. That smell, it's not really one of the nicest smells there is in the bush here, but it's that smell that one appreciates always when you smell that, you have find these dogs. It is exciting in a way, if that makes sense, even if that smell per se is not very pleasant, but it's something I think we can live with every once in a while. Oh, look at that. I'm not sure whether that's giving each other a brotherly hug or actually teaching each other how to hunt.
Sorry, Brent, go again. 3 members of the pack, as well as 3 hyenas, from the end of Florida, northeast side of Florida. Copy.
Yeah, I think let's stick with these puppies for now. See if maybe something will change.
Here at the Advanced Rifle Handling Challenge, which is actually lots of challenges in one to gauge the contestants' skills at different distances and different speeds. This is probably the challenge that the contestants are the most nervous about. So let's get them locked and loaded. The competitors are now doing the Heelys halt, where they have to run back and forth to a target turn, take aim, and shoot. And this simulates a chase in a real environment and gets the heart pumping and the blood pressure up. James gave us a demonstration, and the skill involved in this exercise is remarkable.
Well, for everyone that was watching earlier, apologies if we didn't come through or our voices didn't come through on the sighting. It seems like we were having some technical issues with the radios and so on. But these spots belong to the same leopard we were looking at earlier, which is Shasha, the young male leopard. Seems like he's been hiding behind the dam wall at Gowrie Dam, and he's found himself a very comfortable spot where he's not only guarded by pretty much anything that's around here that a passerby wouldn't really see him, but he's also in a spot where it looks quite soft, a lot of grass in there, and warmer. As we said at the beginning of drive, it's been quite a windy afternoon today, so he's just hiding from the elements and using a new spot that I didn't know leopards used in this drainage line, but it's also a very clever one, because pretty much whichever way you come when he's lying there, unless you know he's there, you wouldn't be able to see him. Even for us coming back here, it was a bit of a struggle to try and figure out where he was. And as you see when Morgan zooms out, this is more real to what it is that we look at as humans when we drive around here. So it's pretty impossible to actually know that there's a leopard in there. I suspect that he was lying on the rocks earlier when he was first spotted, and then now he's just moved in there. So we're kind of hoping that later on in the afternoon, perhaps he will move or go for a drink at the dam, because I mean, we are right here. But for the time being, seems like he's decided to be a sleepy cat. But it's good to have him back. Seems like the behind the dam wall is a good hiding spot for many young leopards. I know Tamba used to like to be in here, so did Hosanna. Well, if Maribs were around this area, I'm pretty sure he would be here, but he likes the dam wall and Leadwood Dam and Torchwood. So he still enjoys it over there. It's a place of wonders back here. It's a perfect drainage line, lots of antelope species. And when we first arrived, he was a bit more active. He was feeding on some of the grass. And sometimes leopards do that not because they are turning vegetarian or because they like it, but sometimes they need some fiber, or they try to purge themselves almost in a way. Normally when animals eat something that is not commonly part of their diet is because they're responding to a nutritional need, sometimes due to nutritional stress. Or sometimes they just haven't gotten enough of certain bacteria that they need to be able to repopulate their gut flora, which is what happens sometimes with the big cats. And that's why we see them also when they make kill of a herbivore. You'll see that they'll sometimes eat part of the stomach contents, which is just basically grass for most of the animals around here. Lucas, I believe Shasha and Maribs are somewhat close in age, but Maribs is younger than Shasha, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the exact dates of their age, but they're not too far apart in terms of aging. Shasha, however, has already become independent, or he is not seen hanging around with his mother, hasn't been with his mother Sibuyi for quite a while, I believe, and he's moved of the territory, or well, not too far, but he slightly moved off the territory where he used to be with Sibuyi. So Maribs, still, we saw him with Tandi a couple of days ago. She's still bringing him kills, or bringing him 2 kills rather, and he's not fully independent yet, whereas in the case of Shasha, he's now undertaking that very strenuous and sometimes problematic life and a problematic period of a leopard's life or a young male cat's life, where they're going to have to try and almost be invisible and survive on their own for a while without causing too much trouble until they either find a spot where that is empty, if that is even real, in terms of other male leopards claiming it, or until they're old enough to start asserting their dominance and fighting for territorial rights with other leopards in certain areas. It's very common that male leopards will disperse, will disperse further away from where they were born, whereas females tend to stay in parts of the territory where they were born into. Their mothers often give them a piece of their territory, almost. Not as in like, this is your kingdom, but they tend to stick around closer to where they were born, and the males generally tend to go much further away. Sorry, I just think I need to answer this radio. Seems like we've had a reply. Thank you very much. Shasha is 7 months older than Marib. So in leopard life, that's quite a while. And as we said, they're now, because of this age difference, they're in different stages of their lives altogether. Whereas Marib's is kind of transitioning to the stage that Shasha still is. Thandi hasn't sort of kicked him out of the nest yet, so to speak. Whereas Shasha is now on his own. So it's funny that he's been hanging around here, because we would have expected the Molawati, the male leopard, to be in and about this area, and Molawati would see Shasha as a potential competitor or threat, and very likely he would not be happy with Shasha being around here and be quite aggressive towards him. And sometimes this aggression between dispersal males and dominant males in an area can lead to fatal casualties or fatal encounters, normally on the part of the younger one. So Shasha's got to be very careful as to where he goes and where he puts his kills and how he behaves, just to make sure that he doesn't come into contact with a much bigger male leopard that is not gonna be impressed of him being around here. And although he's been hanging around, mostly around the Molawati the last couple of weeks, he was reportedly seen in Buffelshoek, which is a property to our east and north, quite far from where we are now, reportedly stealing a kill from another female leopard. And then a bigger leopard came and stole it from him. And now he's back here. So maybe this has become his safe space. Can't really see him, and he's having a nice nap. But if we stick around with him long enough, I'm pretty sure that he'll end up moving up here, and all he has to do really is just wake up and move out of that thicket, and we're likely to have a better view of him than what we are having now. I wonder what he's dreaming about. Maybe of an impala up a tree, all to himself for a couple of days, perhaps dreaming of warmer weather. And just remember, if you've got any comments and questions, feel free to send them through either via Twitter or our YouTube channel or the website. It's always lovely to have a conversation with everyone that's watching, makes it feel less lonely. Rajesh, it hasn't been reported for male leopards to form coalitions the same way as a lion. Leopards are a little bit different behaviorally, or actually quite different in the sense that they are nocturnal, solitary, generally solitary creatures. Although in this area where we're at, we've seen leopards be far more tolerant, especially males towards their male offspring, than in other areas. I don't know of any male leopard coalitions ever being reported. It's normally the case for lions, which are sociable cats, and the leopards, like I say, I think they're far more sociable than we have given them credit to be, but still not ever nearly as sociable as lions are. He's actually found himself a great spot in there. Can't even tell which side his head is on. Seems like he's having a wonderful siesta today. Not too much to worry about. And I wonder if that male we saw yesterday quite briefly at night was indeed Molowati, or if it was another male. Unfortunately, in this area, the male Molowati, which is the dominant male leopard, or who's believed to be the dominant male leopard, is quite shy, reminding us that not all leopards are as sort of obliging as Shasha, because a lot of them actually just don't want to be seen and they rely on being invisible. But in the northern Sabi Sand in particular, there's a very high density of leopard, and they are, or the vast majority of them are fairly used to seeing vehicles, so they allow us to see vehicles. And then the males that have come into this area, most of them seem to have come from other game reserves where there's also ecotourism. And until Molowati, I think we have all been very lucky, and we've had very relaxed leopards that are habituated to cars. Funny enough, though, I remember stories from Tristan mentioning that Tingana, which means the shy one, was also very shy when he first arrived into the area. He was not particularly habituated to cars, and he didn't really enjoy being seen all too much. But then as the years went by, the more and the more that he was seen, then he became quite relaxed. Molowati, on the other hand, seems to be a bit of a puzzle. He has come from a reserve where he would have been seen, and apparently he's I want to say his littermate was quite relaxed, but doesn't seem to be the case for him. So he's actually proven quite difficult to see, and we only get glimpses of him every now and again, either on the dam cam or sometimes somebody bumps into him at night. And leopards that are shy, they tend to be a bit more comfortable being viewed at night than during the day. But as you can imagine, trying to find a leopard in the dark is not always the easiest thing, especially when there are a lot of bushes and trees and thickets where they can go and hide into.
Welcome back to and Beyond Ngala, everyone. We are still with our pack of wild dogs that are actually not doing anything at the moment. So you saw the puppies playing earlier, but it looks like they've had their fill. As you can see, some of them just on the side of the road and others just gone flat static right in the middle of the road. Oh, he had that. Then decided to show us a bit of movement, even if it's a solo one. Looks like he might have caught something there, or he's actually hunting something, which I don't know what that might be. But of course at that age, anything and everything looks intriguing in his eyes. It might even be just a bug that was just walking past, which is quite a beautiful thing to see, especially when he is that active at that age. I see one of the adult ones stretching the side. I just hope it means what I think it means. Oh, there it is, on the move. off towards the direction of where the puppies are. Let's see what will happen there. Alright, I think we're gonna stick a little bit more with these ones, and for now let's hand you over to John T, who's got something in the air for us.
Welcome back. We have managed to find signal, and Darren is working his magic, keeping it on this bird in the sky. It is very tricky to see what that is. It's hard to see any color, and because the tail's also fanned out, when I saw it earlier, it was pretty characteristic of a certain type of eagle. Is there anybody watching who wants to hazard a guess? I mean, I know it's almost impossible at that distance, but you can see how it's struggling to stay in the same spot in the wind. But when you see them flying like that, it makes me so jealous. That must be so super awesome to just be able to float like that. So we actually saw with Morgan, we saw a pair yesterday, which they're kind of coming back at the moment for breeding. They haven't been here for a while. And there must be one of the first ones saw one the other day in town. Whoa! Geez, that one looks bigger. Huh? That second one that came in is a juvenile Bacteria. I can't believe how far away it's blown. I'm just trying to find it in here. I don't know if you can zoom in on this. There's that, but that first one, it looked like a Wahlberg's eagle. When we first saw it, it had that very diagnostic straight sort of tail, but it was very difficult for you to see. But the one that I saw with Morgan, wait for that to get in focus, let me go further away. We saw the pale morph and a dark morph together, which is very, very cool. So let me just turn this radio down. But that's it. Let's carry on. We're back on Leadwood Drive. Is it Leadwood Drive? Leadwood Road. It's quite a beautiful view to the west towards the Drakensberg Mountains. The sun is sort of breaking through there. We may just get treated to a nice sunset. I didn't get that.
One of the viewers.
Oh, sorry, FC, my radio went down. Whoever that viewer is, I think that is what it was. A Wahlberg's eagle. So well done, because that wasn't easy. It's so hard when it's far away like that, and with this sort of cloudy background, it's very difficult to see any detail. Sorry, I'm getting patchy communication, but I think we're going to go across to Marcus where the wild dogs are active again.
Oh, welcome back everyone. So it looks like our dogs here have decided to get active again. So the exact same thing that happened earlier, one just standing up amongst the old ones and then start making those twittering sounds and then all of a sudden, all of them were at each other like that, still being playful. And the adult, as you can see, they have joined. We see a bit of begging every now and then, a bit of submission, which is quite beautiful to observe with these dogs here, because when they move, they just start running a little bit, and then you think that, oh, now their hunt is on, and then they go like that. So which is more playing than anything else, really. Which actually reminds me of the story I once heard of wild dogs. On this day we had a bit of thunderstorm at Ngala, and it was at night when dogs should actually not be active. And I was half asleep in my room when I had a window breaking down like that, which initially I thought it was actually thunder that was striking my window. And then I went out of the room shaking on my knees, did a bit of an investigation. Then getting to that site, I saw like tracks, and because it had rained a little bit, there were prominent tracks, of which I think between an impala or even a bushbuck, that it was actually the wild dogs chasing that animal around 9 o'clock at night when they broke into my window. Luckily, that animal, whatever it is between a bushbuck and an impala, did not get into the room, just managed to break my window and then turn to the other direction, and then sort of followed that twittering sound that you've been hearing just now. At a distance, when we get there, these dogs were all, licking their paws that they have managed to catch it, killed whatever that was, and it was finished like literally in 5 minutes. All was done, and I think it was 17 dogs back then altogether, which is one of those stories you don't really think of much, as we say, they are not that active at night. They can be active if they want to. I know this for a fact. And as you can see there, they're just slowly putting the distance between them and us, which means, they might even start moving or hunting, which is actually what I am hoping for. Well, Jerome, you want to know when will these packs join in a hunt? Like every time it is a lesson for them, if I can put it like that. Because much as they are small, they can't really kill anything that they can feed on. But they'll always be seeing how these bigger ones are doing those things. In time, when they are old enough, then they will be joining in on those hunts. But now, as you can see, they are still very young like that, inexperienced, fearful, if I can put it in that way. But like I said, it's a lesson to them each and every day that in time they will learn to perfect, until the next litter that is of puppies, of which then it will be their responsibility to be able to teach the youngsters how to go about things, which is what I've seen about these dogs. The older dogs don't really teach these youngsters how to go about doing things, but it's more their older siblings that will give themselves the role of doing that. But of course, they are cooperative hunters or in anything and everything, really. As you can see now, they have started to move. I think we're gonna try keep up with them. Yeah, so there is one dog close to us here who hasn't really followed them, and then we'll wait for it to follow the pack, and then we'll try and keep up with them.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
We got there, he had probably moved a couple of hundred meters down the river and was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a land cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton, he's a big unit. Got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And we put that land cruiser in low range and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the tow strap slipped up and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of the head, and it caught on his ossicones at the top. And that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
Well, we've got a face now, at least a body part that we can recognize. Earlier we were just not too sure if we were looking at the head or we were looking at the stomach, obviously, but we didn't know which side the head was, or if we were looking which were the front paws, which were the back paws. So it kind of looked like he was almost croissanted himself, like, that almost half moon shape. But he's repositioned and he got us very excited that he was going to get up and do a little bit more than what he's been doing now. But he's just, gone down to sleep again. I think he's just re-tucked himself in, proof that it's a cold day today. Just trying to preserve heat any way he can. But I suspect where he's lying, it's actually maybe a couple degrees hotter or warmer than where we're in. We've got a lot of the wind chill that's coming here, and that's making us colder. And he's being very clever and just tucked himself in a little corner to avoid exactly that, to avoid the wind making him cold. Hopefully in the next while, though, he'll move. You never know. We had some guinea fowl earlier that were causing a racket, but I'm starting to think that this guinea fowl around Gari Dam almost behave like squirrels. They alarm for everything. So I was almost there, tempted for a second. We got the binoculars out, trying to figure out where they were alarming from, because now guinea fowl can be really good to find leopards. If they see a leopard, they normally tend to start making, chaos. And you just hear them alarming all over the show. So we thought, could be, depending on where they are when they're alarming and which way they're facing, that maybe there's another predator around here. I mean, we suspect many leopards come in and out of this drainage. But then eventually we saw the guinea fowl heading to the dam, and then they were all on the ground alarming at everything. I saw an eagle fly by a while ago. It looked like one of the Wahlbergs that's come back to nest in the area. It's one of the migratory bird species that we start seeing again at this time of the year. And the guinea fowl carried on alarming. So maybe they were looking at an eagle. Maybe the other day we also had them alarming at something, but couldn't figure out what it was. So I don't know. I feel like maybe they're just the loud ones. They just like shouting. But Shasha was not too worried. Maybe he knew something we didn't even wake up to try and look at the guinea fowl and see what they were so worried about. Often if you see guinea fowl, it's quite funny. If you see them on the trees, and you have a very good chance of them looking at something on the ground. And then if they're on the ground, then very likely they're looking at something that is on the tree. Or on the sky. Talking about groundlings, it seems like JP's out on bushwalk, so let's head over to him and find out how his adventure is going.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We just located on 2 African elephant bulls busy feeding over here. This one was actually raising its trunk and its head quite high, and aims of pulling off the branches right almost from the top of the tree to bring him down to the ground and then feeding on it. I really hope that he's going to do it again. Let's see what he's getting up to. Here we go. It's just amazing how they can use their trunk so successfully to reach up into places which are high above the ground. The only other animals that they really compete with at that level is giraffe. As most other animals only feed with under the 1.5 meter in height range. Good afternoon, Lerato. Yes, they can actually stand on their hind legs to reach sometimes up on the upper parts. It's not a behavior that I've often seen. I've probably seen it maybe some 10 times in my life. One of the things that you'll also see is that they often will walk up to a tree, lift their front legs, and then start pushing the trees down so that they can get to the upper parts. This morning we also were watching one of the elephant's bulls that were pushing a tree forward with his body and his head, and then until it started moving, and then moved up against the tree and then pushed it down onto the ground. It's just amazing how they can use a trunk for so many different tasks. Anything from drinking water up to feeding, cleaning their eyes, using it to suck up dust and soil. Firstly with soil just to coat themselves when they've just had a mud bath, and then also to hollow out little areas where they start creating wells. They'll literally suck up the sand and the water, spray it out until there's clean water percolating in those holes. Sometimes you can see them even performing very small tasks by picking up tiny little things, either bringing it to the mouth or doing tasks such as cleaning the eyes. A number of birds that are following them, mostly of them as all fork-tailed drongos, and there was also some glossy starlings a little bit earlier, which was following them as very disturbing insects. Well, we're going to sit and watch them a little bit longer and see what they get up to. Let's go and see what Ellie is up to.
We are on cat patrol or cat watch. Almost feel like I don't know too much about the kiddies shows nowadays, but I think there's one called Paw Patrol, and I feel like that's where we're at. We can but on a different sense. We can just see his paws, and then we're just here, just waiting, watching, stalking him until he makes his next move, and then we can share it with everybody else. He hasn't even twitched an ear in the last couple of minutes that we've been watching him. I wonder where he's actually been and what he's been eating, because the last report that we had from him on Buffelshoek, when there was this whole sequence of thieving of kills, was maybe 4 or 5 days ago. So I wonder where he's been since then, what he's seen and what he's been up to. We haven't really had any tracks for males around this area. Well, we did have tracks for a male leopard, but it was going in a different direction and definitely much bigger than the tracks of this guy over here. So I think 2 different individuals. He will get there, but his feet are not that big yet. He's still got to grow into a much bigger leopard. He's got to bulk up, develop a dewlap, and then start seducing all the ladies to try and make pretty babies going forward, which we'd be quite happy about. Talking about babies, Tristan did see Lalamba this morning, and then he mentioned that she looks heavily pregnant, so it doesn't seem like she has had her cubs. He just said that stomach of hers just looked quite interesting. So maybe she's heading to the rocks in Torchwood looking for potential den sites. She was kept around that area. She knows that area from when she was younger, although it's strange that she's decided to head over there when Tandi has kept Marips there. Tandi would probably not be too thrilled to have Lalamba there. She will still recognize her and know that is her offspring, but I don't think it would get to a very heightened aggression stage situation if the 2 of them met. But when there are cubs involved, then mothers tend to get a little bit more protective. So hopefully they'll choose different spaces. I mean, they do have an entire reserve to choose from, so just as luck would have it, they all want to be in the same spot. Oh, Shasha, you're having the best time. Lovebird. Shasha will only start mating, so this is what will happen. They normally develop and they reach sexual maturity when they are much younger. So if they wanted to mate already, I think he's still a little bit too young for that, but they could. But the thing is, they only manage to actually mate once they establish themselves as a dominant male in a specific area. That's when by securing themselves a territory, then they also secure themselves access to the females that live within a male's territory, because a male's territory normally encompasses a couple of different females' territory. So if he sort of were to get lucky and stay in this area, maybe if he found a female in heat that's calling, he would perhaps try his luck, but I think he's still a little too young, still trying to find his feet. But male leopards only tend to start sort of mating successfully to produce offspring when they're about maybe 5 or 6. Pardon? Oh, yeah. We said mating, and then we got your interest, cat. I wonder what he's looking at. Naughty little kitty. I do know of a very pretty female that you can go look for, but not just yet because she's already apparently having babies. But if you wanted to find Lalamba, you can make pretty cubs. We will call them Shamba. Would be a great name. Oh, please just stay and have cubbies with Lalamba. He's not too bothered. He knows I'm just talking nonsense. Yeah, he doesn't like the name, says Morgan. Hey, whose side are you on? Obviously not the girl side. I wonder what it is that he can pick up. He's obviously something there that he's interested in. It's just almost like scanning the area. I don't know if he can smell something or he's rather seen it. Or are you still eating the grass? Maybe the last thing he ate was not the best. And sometimes, as I was explaining earlier, they tend to do this to replenish some of their gut bacteria, perhaps to aid with digestion. So maybe he ate something that was perhaps a little off. It's been quite hot the last couple of days.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Welcome back, everyone. It's a bit tricky now because the dogs are in the move, and as you can see that there is a vehicle right in front of us, so we'll try, frame the sides until we get space that will be able to share these dogs with you that are on the move now. Right, it's a boundary road, so one side is our property and the other side not ours. Also, it's thick, it's not as easy driving on this black monkey orange trees. So I think let's just be patient and see where they will be able to show us or get a better route. Then so proceed in the world, it's as you can see, it is quite a lot of dogs in this pack, so they might even need maybe to hunt 2 times a day, but that will always depend on what their last kill was. So of course, if it is something like an impala, they, like I said, they might need to be hunting 2 times or so a day. But if they can be able to bring something big, then they might even hunt once a day. But of course, these puppies, much as they are small like this, they can have quite an appetite, and also since it is a lot of them, so they will need to be hunting a lot more, which I think it is what they are doing now. And as you can see that these puppies are just always behind, but still, there is one dog that remains with them while the other ones go, and then these ones just sort of make sure they are always safe while the other ones try and do the hunt. Of course, with the size they were able to good question. Look at this. So he wants to know how long will the pups cycle to their mother. I am actually not sure, because they leave the den at around 2.5 months. That's when they will be leaving the den and then keep following the pack like this. And then, of course, at this time, I think they will have some teeth, small teeth that make it uncomfortable to the mother if they are not suckling. So I think when they leave the den like this, I think I will need to look that up and then get back to you. But it's just my opinion that I think as soon as they leave it then like this, chances are they might just go for the meat. Because when they've got teeth like that, of course, and they try and suckle to the mother, it's not as comfortable. But yeah, like I said, they stand to be corrected on this one. I'll find out and get back to you. See how they're actually running like that. And they try there by all means to keep up, but of course they are small. We can't really take that away from them.
Yeah, we're mobile towards Buffalo Flats now.
Yeah, well, so for now we will keep up with these dogs, or the pups rather, because the older animals are way in front of us. But yeah, we'll keep up with them, see what they get to.
Yeah, keep making your way.
Well, it's good to know that at least some animals are ready to go out in the hunt, because Shasha is ready to go see Morpheo, the god Morpheus, I would imagine is the name in English, the god of sleep. It's very much like my grandfather that way. Nothing can dissuade him from an afternoon siesta. He's now lying the other way around, and we are just witnessing some spots. But maybe Marcus can send his wild dog pack all the way from Ngala, and then maybe that'll get Shasha up and about. There's a wonderful tree here that if he wanted to go on top of, we wouldn't complain. Or even if he went down to the drainage line, it would be quite lovely. I mean, look at that tree. Wouldn't that be great to have Shasha there? And then we would park on the dam wall, eye level with him. That would be a beautiful view. It doesn't seem like we're going to get lucky just yet. But it is sort of starting to get darker as the afternoon is rolling by and starting to end. So hopefully he'll head towards the dam. I am kind of hoping that he'll go there, because we've got a 50-50 chance of him heading to the dam. Although if he had come for a drink at the dam already, I would suspect we would have seen him. Unless he drank on the far corner just behind the lodge. Maybe he came from that area. But maybe not. Maybe he'll go down to go look for some nyala. He was trying to stalk the nyala the other day that we saw him in the Molowati, so maybe that's one of his preferred prey species. Well, I think a male nyala would be still a little too big for him. He would surprise me if he managed to bring down a male nyala or a young kudu. I think he's still probably gonna focus on perhaps younger nyala, impala, those kind of creatures. And then of course leopards at this stage are very good to go for squirrels, mongoose, maybe the banded mongoose we saw the other day, and all sorts of smaller creatures, duiker and steenboks too. I'm surprised nobody's seen him here from the, well, nobody would see him from the actual road or from the dam wall, but if you were an antelope walking down the drainage line, you might be able to spot him. So I wonder if he's also not choosing the spot just to keep an eye out on whatever it is that comes in the drainage line. There are plenty of sort of steenbok and duiker that move around this area. Just the other day also we saw impala, and I think at the beginning of the drive we even had some impala just behind or not too far from this area. So maybe he's just lurking in the shadows, waiting for that opportunity. And as we know, leopards perfect the art of being invisible. And although they can run really fast at a short distance, they actually rely more on getting close to their prey, stalking them, and then pouncing on their prey to be able to successfully bring them down. Because even if they can run, whatever it is that they're after can also run very fast. And also has good hearing and good sense of smell. So it's not an easy affair. I've always wanted to see a leopard actually on that jackalberry over there that Morgan's just framed. It's the jackalberry that you can see from the dam wall, or from the dam cam. But I haven't been lucky to yet find any leopards on there. I've just seen genets on top of that tree, and that was pretty cool. Maybe Shasha will go looking for that genet up there, although it's not the same tree or where we had the genet-Shasha interaction the other day, but who knows, maybe he's got a craving for genet meals. Although at this stage I suspect he's just going to take whatever he can. Elliot, there are reports and some videos on social media of leopards taking the opportunity and dive bomb from a tree. So if the opportunity presents itself, some of them have taken the chance to make a kill this way, but it's not a common occurrence. It's still a special event when that happens. I've never seen it myself, but there are some websites and then some channels on YouTube. I think a lot of stuff from the Kruger National Park where they've seen, where they've captured leopards jumping out of the tree and just falling on top of an impala. Now, what their success rate is when they do that, I'm not sure, but if they fall in the right position, I think the impala would also die a bit of shock just to have something fall on them and then just bring them to the ground. It would definitely have the upper, the surprise advantage. Hard to believe that we have a dangerous predator just sleeping like a kitty right there. Grace, there's somewhat of a difference between the lifespan of the two. A lot of the times that is due to the added aggression in the male's life because they will have to fight other males to maintain a territory. Whereas females will try to avoid other females, and yes, they can still fight, but their life is more about raising the cubs and then just keeping their energy to that, whereas the males are not. So females are believed to live about 15 years in the wild, and the males a little bit less, or maybe around about 10, 12. It depends on which book you read and on what area. They might have different lifespans. We've had leopardesses in this area that are already 15 years of age. I think Nkanyeni, if I'm not mistaken, is the oldest one in this area, and she's 15. And I think Safari, if I'm not mistaken, she lived in this area and she was up to be 19 years of age. So it's a long time in the wild. And as we said, male leopards tend to live a little bit less. Same in the case with lions and leopards. The females tend to, in the case of lions, males and females, the females tend to live roughly until they're about 12 to 15, and the males until they're about 10. There are exceptions, and of course, some of them tend to live longer. Some of them tend to live less than that. I think the Matimba males were quite long-lived. They were the dominant males in this area long ago, before we even had the Avokas and the Birminghams and the Majingalan. Majingalan? Yes. So it's a while. Those guys live for quite a long time, and as I mentioned, sometimes opportunities arise and then the animals are able to live for much longer than what they normally, or what some of the other ones do. But on average in this area, I would feel like that would be a good number.
I have a degree in environmental planning and development. My passion is outdoor classrooms. We are not only grooming the environmentalists of tomorrow, but tomorrow's leaders as well. My long-term goal is for the people of South Africa to learn how to live sustainably, to be able to look after themselves and the environment. So I hope that through environmental education, we are able to get that message to the future generation of South Africa so that they start now and can continue that good practice in the future. Environmental education is critical so that people can live sustainably in the future. That is my long-term goal.
Our competitors are in the room behind me right now for the birding challenge, where they have to look at pictures and identify the birds and then separately listen to bird calls and identify them. But it's not easy. This is going to be the toughest one. And here we have the previous year's winners. You can see they're trying to see if they can remember all the answers, and look at them taking a sneak peek.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Seems like our radios might be playing up again for once, or maybe just turn the volume down. At this stage, anything is possible. We've had an interesting afternoon with cums, but Shasha thankfully doesn't seem to be too worried about anything that's happening. He's carried on sleeping, enjoying the good life. Lions, they tend to spend more time on the ground. We all want to see them on the trees draped over beautiful marula trees, but it doesn't happen all the time. So it's also area dependent. Some leopards, for example, they are arboreal and then they can climb and they're pretty agile when they do it, but not all of them enjoy putting their kills up trees. In this area, because we have such a healthy hyena population and there's a lot of pressure from hyenas, then we find that leopards tend to put their kills more in trees than perhaps in some other areas. He could be sleeping up a tree if he really wanted to, but we see them mostly on the ground doing their own thing, walking, scent marking, hunting, than actually being up on top of a tree. Although up on top of a tree is pretty memorable, so I think that's the view that we all want from the leopards, when that tail just hangs from a tree somewhere or from a branch somewhere. Susan, absolutely. Sleepy spots, any spots of any kind, are better than no spots. And we've had a bit of a drought of spots. I mean, we call it a drought, and I don't know. When's the last time we saw a leopard? Yesterday? The day before yesterday? Yeah, so I mean, it is quite a long time. We are very fortunate in this area to be able to see as many cats, both the lions and the leopards, as we do, particularly the leopards. They are quite rare in some areas and not used to the cars, and we don't always get to see them. Oh, you got us excited there. Bill, I think it's a tie at the moment between Tristan and I. Because we had the lions and the leopard yesterday, but he's the one, him and Mike are the ones that spotted Shasha this afternoon. And they did have Tlalamba in the morning, which I'm going to fight for. I don't think that one should be allowed because I couldn't go there. But I think so far we are in a tie. We had the lions, and then he spotted Shasha, and then the leopard that we saw last night, we only saw it because he reported hearing audio from a leopard. And he's still quite puzzled about it because there was something about it that just didn't sound right to Tristan. And I mean, I would trust him with anything relating to leopards. He's a man that I know that has the deepest passion I've ever known in someone for leopards. And he just said that it sounded like a mother cub when they make that distress call, sort of when they're trying to call and call and call and the cub doesn't come. But then we saw a male, so he was not sure if maybe we had more than one leopard around. Could have been. I mean, Sibuya could have been around that area. And a male could have come. Not really sure. It's good though that they still keep us on our toe and they keep us guessing as to who's been who. And I suspect maybe later on we'll find out, and looking back we'll be able to connect the dots. But for now, I'm going to call it a tie. I don't know if Tristan will agree with me, but he should. Seems like Marcus is a little bit more active than this leopard, so let's head over to him and see what he's up to on his bumble.
Well, a leopard is always beautiful in my opinion, whether active or not, but yeah. Some bit of activity is quite nice every now and then. So we have left those dogs, much as they look like they were actually on a hunt. But you know, it was a sought after sighting. And if that's the case, of course, we also have got to share it with our guests. Which is a good thing, because I think we spend much of the time with them than anyone else or than everyone else will, really. And then now we are just on a bumble heading back towards the central parts of the reserve. And on our way to this side, we went past Clara Dam. And on our way back now, I am thinking also of going past Clara Dam to see if anything might have changed on our absence. But yeah, how amazing was that dog sighting, eh? Especially with these puppies getting active like that, you know, giving us a bit of action. And then time and again, you know, the adult ones would also jump in on the fun. I just hope that the viewers have enjoyed it as much as I have. So yeah, I did mention earlier that it is cold. Well, I did mention it was windy, but it was rather cold. Just want to share the beautiful colors of this sunset with our viewers. Cheryl, I couldn't agree with you more. It does look rather spectacular, you know, I must say. Here in the Lowveld, the sunrise, the sunsets are always that beautiful, you know, except of course on those days where we've got a whole heavy cloud cover where we are not able to see these beautiful colors that we are sharing with you now. It's something that we see almost every day, not every day, but almost every day. But still, you know, they will take your breath away like that. See how spectacular that looks. You know, for those who were with us since the beginning of the drive, I did mention that, you know, much as these animals also are exciting to watch, you know, but these small things, when you add them together, it's what makes that difference. It's what makes it worthwhile. So I think let's keep on driving, heading towards Ngala Dam. Hopefully we'll find something they're drinking. Maybe elephants, because, you know, I love watching elephants when they're at a waterhole drinking like that. It is always something beautiful to watch. So as I was saying earlier that, you know, it has been windy and now it has gotten very cold. So Jenna, you wanna know what's the most exciting sighting I've ever seen at Ngala? Well, amongst other sightings, Jenna, there was that sighting where I'm not sure if you have joined in the other day where we had that Birmingham male defending his female kudu carcass against a clan of 8 or 9 hyenas, which was actually at Ngala Dam, one of these water bodies we are heading towards. So for me, that was something very, very exciting, that interaction, you know, the sounds that these hyenas were making, all the intimidation. And of course that Birmingham male couldn't have any of that, you know. He successfully defended his kill against those hyenas. That stood out for me. And also there was once a time when we find a python that had strangled an impala. We were not there when that happened, but we got to that area and then there were 2 hyenas also that wanted to steal the kill from the python, you know, yet they were not as brave to fight that python, you know. When they were approaching, the python will give that hissing sound and the hyenas will just turn back like that. And it, you know, it happened for a long time where we all at last left them in that area, because of course the python couldn't try swallow that impala while the hyenas were there, and the hyenas were not brave enough, you know, to be able to steal that impala from the python. But when we got back the next morning, we find that there is nothing in the area, no trace that there had been a kill or anything like that, which we thought that, you know, the most decent thing that might have happened there was that the python would have, you know, abandoned her kill to the hyenas, because there was no way that the python would have swallowed that kill. And also Equally, there was no way that those hyenas would have left that area knowing that they are that close.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Jeez, Marcus has racked up some unbelievable sightings there. It is amazing what, if you chat to guides, what sort of stories they've all got. We are very, very spoiled. Darren and I are just chilling with some impala here. Looks like a bachelor herd. Just feeding here on this small sort of open area either side of the road. Impala often sort of overlooked. They'd be like the unsung hero in a lot of these incredible stories, especially involving predators. The poor impala plays the cameo role of the prey. And they always feature in the stories, or in a lot of the stories at least. They are so beautiful though. Marcus was mentioning a python with an impala. It was also at Ngala. I also saw a python catch an impala, which was pretty ridiculous. It wasn't one as big as the one we're looking at now. It was like a 2-year-old impala, which is still pretty big. A huge snake. We actually saw the impala busy alarm calling into a bush, and we thought maybe there was a leopard, but then we thought it was a bit bizarre that the impala was standing looking at it. And at that moment, the young impala walked past, and we just saw this. Well, we actually didn't know what we saw. We just saw something shoot out of the grass, grab the impala, and pull it down. And then when we moved closer, we saw the coils wrapping around. Unbelievable sighting. While we've been sitting here with this wind, a couple of the impala sort of would run off and run around there. Not 100% relaxed when the wind is like this. It definitely takes away one of their senses, which is not great when you're on the food chain. They actually don't. It's quite interesting. If they're being chased, they just run and either get caught or not. When they do get caught, sometimes they'll kick. I've seen, actually saw a leopard very recently with quite a big gash in its side, which we're presuming was from a kick from an impala. Just because of the way that they try and grab them, they normally go for the throat. A very bizarre story, but my brother got kicked in the head by an impala, so their hooves are actually really sharp. But But it's only the sort of bigger antelope that I've heard stories and seen. Once they get chased, when they sort of feel like they can't run away anymore, they'll then back up with their rump into a bush or something behind them and then use their horns to defend themselves. I've seen Ngala and kudu and waterbuck do that, but I've never seen impala do that. I think they rely more on their sort of agility to try and jump and get away. There's some more going to come down the front here on the left. We're just going to reposition the camera. We're just sitting with some impala on their evening patrol. Oh wow! The other ones will come. Oh, this one's got one horn. Pew. Oh no! Let me just swing the car. It's always interesting when they run and jump like that. They will often jump in the same spot. If they see where one jumps, they will then jump. You see the one at the back, it's only got one horn.
Well, our paw patrol is still going quite well. He's still not moved, although he's been lifting his head on and off. And we could just see some elephants crossing all the way in the background, just on the dam. Fortunately, I think some of them are being obscured now by the trees in between us and the dam. I was kind of hoping they would make their way here when we saw them, but, you know, just to disturb the area so that Shasha would get up and move. But, I mean, that was a bit of a far-fetched dream. It was never going to happen. But if elephants were to come around here, or perhaps even a herd of buffalo or rhino, then Shasha would definitely not feel as comfortable if they came right up to where he was, and then he would move off, potentially go somewhere else. And if you're wondering about the funny colors that you're seeing in your screen, we've just turned the IR or the infrared on, just so that I can see better now that we are under low light conditions. Adam, likely he will sleep into the night, but he won't sleep until tomorrow morning. Leopards are considered to be crepuscular creatures, and they tend to, and to be honest, none of the animals out in the bush, even when we define them as nocturnal diurnal, sleep throughout the night. They will still have bouts of activity throughout the night, but perhaps they'll spend more of their time sleeping than actually moving around or eating or ruminating or whatever the case it might be. So if we were to come back here in the middle of the night, very likely Shasha wouldn't be here. He probably would have gone somewhere else, or he would have moved off perhaps in search of hunting opportunities. Leopards do like to move in late afternoon, sort of into the evening, and then throughout the night, and then early morning before it gets too hot. But having said this, leopards have a way of just not doing what they're supposed to, and I have seen them move around in the heat of the day as well. But no, he won't sleep through the night, and he could be in the vicinity tomorrow morning, but he wouldn't be in the same position. If we were to find a leopard to stay from, or if he were to stay here until tomorrow morning, then I think we would start suspecting that there's something wrong with him, which I don't think is the case. I think he's just having a nap, and then he'll go off and do his thing. We had a couple of years back Tingana, the male leopard, who was injured. We're not entirely sure what happened. We suspect maybe a snake bite, and he was in the same spot for 3 days. But already by day, sort of the first 24 hours, when he was seen in the same spot after a night, everyone was a little bit dubious of his condition, because it's not normal for them to be in the same spot. If they're healthy, they'll move around. Can you hear hyenas in the distance? Seems like some of the nocturnal creatures or predators are starting to move out and about. Hyenas are definitely calling in the distance. We can hear them just faintly. And it sounds like maybe from Treehouse Dam area, but it could be that they've just started moving and looking for backup. I don't think there's anything particularly interested in that area. I think it's just them trying to keep in touch. Oh look, there's another elephant coming to the dam. All the way. We're just spying through the one little gap over here. There we go. Although it looks very small from the distance, it looks like an adult. Oh yeah, look, there's a little one.
Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala, everyone. So we got here to this waterhole Clara Dam, and we think let's just enjoy this scenery for what it is, and then take all the sounds that we might be able to hear for a moment or so. It is a relaxing, beautiful spot indeed, Steven. I mean, just look at that. Isn't that exquisite, you know? You heard earlier the sounds of these hippos and the water there. And also on the background, you know, we had some bird sounds, double-banded sound growth. And of course, the sounds made by these trees because of the wind, you know. And it's something that we thought of, you know, sharing with our viewers, those beautiful colors, the water, all the cloud cover. I think it all really, really adds up to the whole experience, you know. I hope you have enjoyed the scenery as much as I have. So from here, I think we are gonna keep bumbling on, see whatever it is we'll be able to see.
Hi, we are Yaku and Nolani. We are from Gauteng in South Africa. We started watching WildEarth last year during the level 5 lockdown, and we've been watching ever since.
Being in nature is one of the greatest feelings. We absolutely love it. Our favorite thing about WildEarth is that the concept is so amazing. We have the benefit of having a wildlife safari in the comfort of your home, especially when you're not allowed to go out. Being part of the Wildlife Explorer program gives us a sense of giving back and contributing to nature. It just makes us feel good because we love it so much. We are so excited to be visiting Ngoma. It is obviously, I think, for most people, an absolute dream to visit the Masai Mara. We can't wait to go.
Thank you very much for this amazing prize, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
And I turned to Shaw and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Well, we have started packing up more layers. It's definitely much chillier than when we started the afternoon, and it was quite cold then. I'm considering putting out my gloves soon enough, which I haven't done since I first arrived, so I can only hope that Shasha is warmer than what we are. Although he's got quite a nice coat in there, so he's probably feeling better. And if he starts moving and carries on grooming, then we might have a good chance of actually seeing him move after patiently waiting this afternoon for him to show us what a leopard looks like, basically. So we've only seen pieces of him at a time, and even now he's in between the bushes. But the fact that he's got his head up and then he started cleaning himself bodes well for us. Maybe he's cold and he'll start moving to gain body heat. Bless you. Sorry, I'm having Morgan to be my translator because my radio doesn't seem to be working properly. Joseph, you want to know if they ever really sleep? Yeah, they do. However, I think on a subconscious level, their ears and their noses are always looking out for any potential danger. So I do believe, or it is believed, that they reach the REM sleep, where they go into a deep sleep. Sorry, I couldn't think of the words. But they don't, as we were saying earlier, they don't really sleep the way we do. They have sleeping bouts more than actually having a good night's sleep. And then they have moments of activity. And I don't understand. No, he's definitely eating some grass. So I think there might be something going on with his stomach, because we've seen him feed on grass quite a few times now. Don't think anything to worry about. But now that it's darker, and I'm pretty sure he's had a good night's, well, not a good night, like a good nap sleep. Or, yeah, I don't know if those two words can go together. But now he's maybe feeling a little bit more refreshed. And it is darker, and it's that time of that time of the day when leopards start moving. Or in this case, when they start having a salad. They really don't seem to like their greens, do they? They look very funny in eating them.
Ryan would want to know, do you think he's big for his age?
So I've got Morgan as my private FC, which is great. Riley, I think he's a good size for his age. I don't think he's the biggest male that I've seen, but overall I think he's on the healthy side. Let's put it that way. He looks very strong, and the other day when we had him walking around, he looked to me almost the size of a female leopard, just a little bit bigger. So I think he's on his way to becoming a beautiful individual or a beautiful male, but it will still be a while before he reaches his full adult size. We're going to carry on with this leopard, see what he does and what he gets up to, but in the meantime, we're going to send you guys across to Marcus.
Well, a very good luck to Ali and her leopard. As for me, I don't have anything yet. We are just still driving on the lookout. And of course, it is that time where we are hoping for the nocturnals. As you can see, it is getting a little bit darker. So that's when these nocturnal creatures might be on the move, you know. The leopard you just saw with Ali, some lions, you know, civets, genets, those sort of animals are the ones that we are looking for now. But of course, with a weather like today, they didn't really have to. Sorry about that. They didn't really have to worry about, having to wait for darkness to fall and then they can be on the move. But that can be if they also want to use darkness as cover, especially when hunting like this. So these are the ones that we are hoping to catch up with, whether be it these animals moving just to get to areas or just, patrolling their territories, because when we are driving on roads like this, these animals will see these roads as just areas of less resistance, that can make them cover good ground in the less space of time. And hence when they move, then they'll just send mark on the trees as they are moving. And much as animals, maybe lions or even leopards, can do something like that while they are still just patrolling their territory. But if an opportunity for a hunt arises, they grab it with both hands. So they don't really, say we are just patrolling and we are patrolling. So Benson, if I heard that correctly, you want to know what time at night do we start looking for animals? There is no specific time, Benson, where we can be looking for these animals, but as soon as nighttime falls like this, you just know that, these nocturnals that get active at night might be on the move. So there's no really specific time that you can say this time, because those animals, some of them, much as we do say they are active at night, you can also see them during the day move. It's not unusual for some of these animals to be moving even during the day. So there is no time really that I can say we start at this time, if that makes sense, Jensen. But yeah, we are on this road heading towards another road that runs, parallel to the Timbawati dry riverbed, which is actually sometimes the preferred areas for these leopards that are elusive. And yeah, like I said, you never know. As long as you are still looking, a bit of positivity doesn't really hurt. And yeah, with patience, sometimes there are rewards, like finding these animals that we are actually looking for. So it is windy now. Well, it has been windy. Yeah, that question broke up towards the end. You want to know that there are 80 animals that I couldn't really. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we are just driving to this road which is parallel to the dry riverbed Timbawati, and hoping to catch up with these lovely nocturnal creatures. I have only seen a caracal once at Ngala. No, it's one of those animals that I would really, really love to see again. And of course, there are some animals that I have never seen in my life before, which includes, amongst others, the aardvark. So I'm always crossing fingers, to look for or to see my first one. So I think just join me on this bumble and see what fruits it might bear.
So now we are in the spotlight portion of the evening. I'm just going super slow through this section and looking very carefully. Whoa. I just see some headlights of a car. I don't want to disturb them. So I was just going super slowly here, checking this area for any sign of any nocturnals. And there was a vehicle driving where we want to drive. So I just turned the lights off because we have got a super bright light on and I didn't want to disturb them. Just hoping for that flash of some eyes reflecting in the spotlight. I just want to actually just switch off and listen. I thought I might have heard something. I'm just listening. I thought I heard something on this side. Welcome everybody. I just stopped. There's a vehicle. I just want to check. I'm just going to chat on the radio quickly. Any station on Simbambili coming for Jonty from WildEarth?
Jonty, I've got Mufasa Ingwe here for Zulu and Senior. If you go a little bit back, just a little bit north of the transformer, there's a 2-track going to the west of the flattening. You're more than welcome to join.
Copied, I'll be keen. Thanks. So, quite exciting.
There's a small garage just on the side of Ndlela.
We spotted a spotlight shining directly into a tree, which is normally a giveaway that there's something. So we're just going to try and get into this sighting. So just bear with me while we get in there. Might have to do a little bit of off-roading. So while we try to get in here, you're going to head to Ali.
Well, hopefully Jonty will be able to get into a sighting. It would be quite nice if he does, just to see what it is that they're looking at. and we have got spots lying down. He hasn't moved, so I'm beginning to wonder if the fact that he's still sleeping and that he was eating so much grass, if he's feeling well. I don't think he's sick to be concerned or anything along those lines, but perhaps just a bit of a runny tummy, and sometimes maybe he's just having an off day. Let's put it that way. And that's why he hasn't started moving. It's also cold, so maybe it's a combination of all the factors that have got him to still carry on sleeping. I would have expected him to start moving, but it could be, as I was saying, that he's had an off day, or maybe he walked quite a bit during the day because it was fairly overcast, that he moved in from wherever it is that he was, because there have been no signs for him around this area in the last couple of days either. So I suspect he made his way here sometime during the day. Sharia, the digestive process of leopards, I would imagine the best way to explain it is that it's somewhat similar to humans. They need to drink daily, and they will digest in sort of a couple of hours of just feeding whatever it is that they have fed upon. That would be my general guess. It's not like the ruminating stomach, or not like the digestive system of antelopes that ruminate, that it's quite a long period and anything that goes in only sort of comes out about 4 or 5 days. And it's not like the one of an elephant also, where not a lot of stuff gets as processed. So I would imagine just a bit like us, really, because of the meat. And when they do gorge themselves and they have eaten a lot of meat, then obviously they feel quite heavy, and then meat takes a bit of a longer time to break down than perhaps other things. But overall, I think it's a fairly quick digestive system. I could be mistaken. I've never given this too much thought, but that would be my general guess. But I'm happy to... Oh, elephants are angry in the distance. Just heard them trumpeting. I wonder what it is that's got them like that. Seems like Jonty managed to find what he was looking for, so let's head over to him and find out what it was.
Right, you guys ready? Yes, we certainly have, but we... How's it, John? Sorry, we're just live. Sorry, man. So we were driving and spotted Johan's spotlight up into a tree, and he had found this beautiful leopard for us. So we've come in, and I believe this is Shadulu, and she's lying up in this jackalberry tree. It's so beautiful. She's actually just lifted her head. While we were here initially, she had her head down. But luckily for us, she's lifted. Look at that. Anything new? Very, very lucky. I'm surprised in this wind that she's actually up there in the tree. I would have thought she'd be on the ground, tucked in some grass or something. But in the same breath, even though it might be a bit uncomfortable for her, at least you know she's safe up there. I'm just going to use my spotlight in the rest of the tree. I don't know if she's got a kill in here with her. Not that I can see. Yeah, zoom in on her spot pattern, Dazza. So So she's got quite that notch on her right ear, is quite distinctive. Beautiful. Yeah, Emily, I am super stoked to see Tswalu. We've been looking long and hard, and I'm so glad that she's my first leopard here at Djuma. So I'm just listening to the radio. I might have to chat to someone who's coming in here. Yeah, my first leopard at Djuma this time. And in such a beautiful spot. Last time I saw her, I could just see the top of her head. Is there a vehicle approaching the sighting of Tswalu? It's John T from WildEarth. Are you approaching this female leopard sighting?
Stand by.
No, you can make your way. I'm currently live. I'm just shining my spotlight so you know where I am. Sorry, so just directing the other vehicle in, because we obviously have the advantage of using the infrared so they can't see us. So we might potentially see a spotlight as the other vehicle approaches. Like I said, every time I do a night segment with WildEarth, but this infrared really is unreal, because where she's lying, if we were shining with a spotlight, it would cast shadows, and she's actually quite obscured. For us, we just get to see her right out in the open, which is epic. We're going to stay here and see. I would love to see if Tswalu comes down the tree. So we're going to spend a bit of time with her here in this windy evening.
Calling all WildEarth explorers, we have a new and frankly awesome travel prize for you to win. andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve encompasses an impressive 28,000 hectares of protected wildlife land in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. As you have seen on WildEarth, andBeyond Phinda showcases one of the continent's finest game viewing experiences and is well known for close-up sightings of the elegant yet elusive cheetah, as well as the rare black rhino. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 16th of September, and you and a friend could be heading to the magnificent Phinda Mountain Lodge, where you will spend 3 nights escaping the real world at this ultimate safari location. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
For me, the best part about being a guide is being able to live out in Africa's wild places and being able to share that with people. Of all the challenges, for me, the one that I'm probably the most comfortable with is the game drive. I think that's what I do most days, so that would probably be what I feel like I'd do the best at. Almost like someone's put little Lego blocks up there and made this perfect little sort of statue, and there's another one further along as we drive. One of the challenges I'm the most nervous about would probably be shooting. I think on the day there's always quite a bit of pressure and intimidation, always associated with it, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I hope I'll win this competition, but if I don't, it's still been an experience of a lifetime, and I've learned a lot and met a lot of really, really cool people.
Goodness, look at its wobbly legs. Oh, I don't believe it. I can't believe we've actually seen it. Oh my goodness. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Oh no. Oh, it's okay, little one. Okay.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back to Ngala, everyone. So we are now driving that last bit of that road which runs parallel to our riverbed, and then from there we'll cross the riverbed onto the other side, hoping that we will have some luck that side. But of course we haven't seen any nocturnal creatures as of yet. This is the time where a spotlight will come in handy, but of course we don't have that. And I'm not using that as an excuse, just so you know, you can have a spotlight and also not see anything. Much as you can be driving without a spotlight and be able to see something, so it's just those situations where we just have to roll with the punches, take the good with the bad. So let us grab here, crossing the road to the other side. So as you can see now, we are literally on the riverbed crossing the Timbawati. I didn't get that question. You want to know whether there's a lot of dust in this area. Did I hear that correct? Yeah, you want to know there are a lot of birds in this area. Yes, we do have some birds, but not a lot. And come to think of it, I haven't seen one this evening, but we do see them occasionally. Also, they are nocturnal like that. So those are one of these creatures that we are looking for. Even though at this sort of dark, it will be quite hard to see a bird, especially the ones that we get in our area here, because they're quite small in size. And as you can see, we don't have even the moon to make the light for us, so it is that dark. We solely depend on the headlights even to see these animals, hoping that we catch them when they are on the side of the road or even crossing the road. But other than that, it is pitch black, you know. So there's quite a bit of this road left that we are still driving about. You know, so for all our viewers that have seen all these nocturnal creatures we are after, you know, consider yourself lucky if that is the case, because, you know, sometimes you find people who have been going on safari, you know, others will tell you even from an early age they've been going on safari, but they'll tell you like, I've never seen a serval. Others are like myself, that I've never seen a aardvark. You know, there are a lot of things that people that are actually going out on safaris or have been going out on safaris ever since young age will tell you that they haven't seen, which I think makes one realize how lucky they've been and appreciate all these animals that they've been seeing when going out on safari, regardless of where you do that in the world. You know, so like I mentioned, my one that I still need to tick, it is that aardvark. Well, I would love to see a caracal again, because I've seen a caracal before, but you know, it's one of those animals I would love to see again, especially when they are hunting, you know, that technique, how they jump, those sort of things, those interesting tufted tips of the ear. Those are some of these things that one always looks forward to seeing. But of course, it's not all the things that we wish to see that we will see, of course. So yeah, let's see what is it that we might be able to find our viewers this evening. I did mention like wind will mess with a lot of things, like includes our hearing amongst other things. So it doesn't look like there is anything. And on that note, I would like to take this opportunity, you know, to thank all our viewers for having joined us for this sunset safari. Thanks for the wonderful questions and comments, and please join us tomorrow morning at 5:30 for our morning at 6 o'clock. Sorry.